Think of an attention getter as a stop, look, listen, all eyes on me moment. Attention getters need to capture and grab your audience's attention fast. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 different types of effective attention getters that are the very first words or actions your audience will see and or hear. And I'm not just talking about saying hi, hello, or how you doing today. Depending whether you're live in front of an audience on a stage, delivering a speech, or recording a video for your channel, you have no more than 8 to 10 seconds at the most to grab your audience's attention so you can tell them more of what you're there to tell them about. After learning about the 5 attention getters today, how are you even going to know which one is the right one to go with? Well, that depends on what works best for you, what your topic is, what your purpose of your topic is, and the most important thing is who your audience is. And this is entirely a unique topic that we'll talk about more in another video. As I go through these 5 effective attention getters, I would highly advise that you write these down and then start exploring and experimenting with each one to see which one works best for your speeches, presentations, or videos. After you've heard all 5, let us know in the comments which one you might try next. You'll find out which one I like best in a few moments. Let me start off by asking you a question. Do you think it's a good idea to start off by asking a rhetorical question? You can use humor, but what if you're not funny? You can spew out a startling fact or a statement. Here's $50,000. You can recite a quote, to be or not to. You can even use a very short story called an anecdote that works wonders. But avoid using a distraction that can immediately turn the audience off or even cause so much internal confusion in someone's mind as to what's going on that the next few sentences you say might never be heard. Hey, eyes up front. Would you agree with that? Let's dive deeper into how you can use or maybe not use these attention getters to start your next presentation. Too many speeches start off with a rhetorical question that so many times is not used correctly. A rhetorical question is when you ask a question but don't expect or even want an answer. If you use a rhetorical question, you need to try and predict how your audience might respond. Can you imagine asking a question to your audience, then having someone in the front row try to steal your thunder by offering their opinion before you even state yours? That, by the way, was a rhetorical question. See how that works? You also have to leave enough space in between asking the question and the next sentence to have the appropriate effect too. Use rhetorical questions carefully and thoughtfully. By the way, never, ever, ever start your speech or video by asking, "So, how are you today?" First of all, it's dull and boring. And secondly, shows no real concern for your audience, especially in a video when they can't respond. With a live audience, someone could be actually having a really bad day. And unless you're good at dealing with hearing someone's heavy baggage, don't do it. You want people to feel good. And a good way to do that can be through humor. Humor can be a great attention getter. However, some jokes that are not taken so well can result in a slap across the face, or even worse. If you're going to tell a joke, it had better be appropriate for your audience, and it better be smooth and well practiced. And by the way, try not to laugh at your own jokes, especially if you know they're not funny. You may get it, but will your audience? Sometimes your audience needs to be presented with a startling statement, a factual statistic, or a fact or myth that can bring immediate attention to you and your topic. To add more oomph to these statements, you also need to use inflection and tone in your voice to create a sense of importance and urgency. If you don't do what I'm about to tell you, it will cost you everything. Versus, if you don't do what I'm about to tell you, it will cost you everything. Now, don't overdo it. If you decide to use statistics, be careful and respectful of your audience by using accurate data and don't overinflate them as so many people do in a cheap way as a scare tactic to gain our attention. A good example is when there's a new study out that shows that 93% of all people surveyed agreed with the statement. It can be argued that since 93% is much closer to 100% than 50%, why not just round up like we do in math? Maybe just state nearly 100%. No, don't do it. It's 93%. It's wrong, inaccurate, and creates misleading false information to overinflate numbers. Then there's the believability factor of using statistics. If you hear a statistic that states 1 in a million people are affected versus 1 out of every 3 people are affected, which one do you think would grab your attention faster? I hope you agree that 1 out of 3 is the right answer, but then again, it depends on what you say next, and you can quote me on this. Quotes can be okay to use, but use them thoughtfully. I'm not especially a fan of using quotes for attention getters, but some people are, and that's fine. Then again, it depends on who your audience is too. If you think that using a quote you just absolutely love is a good way to gain attention, consider the connection it has to who your audience is. If it's a widely known quote versus an obscure quote, the meaning can be distorted, misunderstood, not understood, or even insulting. If you use a quote from a famous historical person, say, versus a musician who never made it, but someone who you connect with, will your audience grasp the meaning of the relevance of the quote too? You don't want to waste time trying to explain what the quote meant as part of your attention getter. Save that story for the body of your speech. Speaking of time, I would truly appreciate it if you could take just 2 seconds to support what I do by smashing that thumbs up and consider tapping that subscribe button so you don't have to search around for my channel every week to learn more about the tips and advice I share with you on how to make your work easier and more efficient. I truly appreciate it. Thanks. For many speeches, using a factual or a hypothetical short story that's called an anecdote to gain attention can work really well. An anecdote is an interesting, amusing, or serious incident or situation that may not have happened or can happen. And it does need to be short. For example, can you imagine yourself being at the doctor's office for a routine checkup and are told you have cancer? The intent of this question was supposed to be a hypothetical situation that is also a startling statement and a rhetorical question, but in reality, may be factual for someone in your audience, or has even happened to you or someone you know. Anecdotes can be one of the most engaging methods of gaining attention, but you need to sound natural and not robotic to make them work. And by the way, anecdotes are my favorite attention getters, as long as you do it right. Then there was this time, a long time ago, that one of my students tried to tell a story as an attention getter that ended up becoming their entire speech. Let's just say this student wasn't prepared and didn't complete their outline that led to just spouting off a blog-style opinion that was more of a free-flowing essay of disconnected thoughts. Unfortunately, without a pre-planned structure and an outline, it didn't score well. Keep in mind that you only have about 8 to 10 seconds max to gain someone's attention, or you risk undermining your chance to even reveal your credibility and the relevance of what your speech is about. In this next video, I'll show you how to quickly reveal to your audience the relevance of why they should listen to what you have to say and ways that can increase your credibility as a speaker that goes well beyond the word because. Remember that my goal is that your success is the goal in school, work, and life beyond. I'll see you online soon.